So we're resuming the normal agenda for the council meeting. No public hearings. We do have visitors to be heard. Sharon, you're up. Welcome.
Brought a bigger team with you this time.
You already know. Okay, well, thank you. You want me to sit or stand?
Wherever you're comfortable.
I'm without my food day.
Need a podium.
Yeah. Okay. So, we're here to request vacate street right-of-way of the undeveloped Grant Street line east of North 3rd Street. The real property involved with this request also lies east of North 3rd Street. The legal description of that property is Lot 1, Block 11, Armours Addition, City of Beresford, Lincoln County, and all of Block 15, Armours Addition, City of Beresford, Lincoln County. Petition to vacate street right-of-way was filed on August 25th, 2023. Notice of the petition was published 2 times, September 7th and September 14th, 2023. Public hearing was October 2nd, 2023, and the petitioner was told at that time that we could come back and try for a request to vacate right-of-way, and here we are again. I want everyone to understand the reason for this request. Grant Street has not been used at any time during a period of 20 years preceding this request. In fact, Grant Street has never been used as a street. The undeveloped street extends only 60 feet east of the North 3rd Street, which was platted since 1894, and used only as a driveway for property owners. Petitioner and her family have maintained the property for more than 20 years preceding this request. Petitioner does not want the property dissected by continuing the street. We do not want any of our property dissected. There is a future threat to the property owners for safety. The traffic on the street could cause an unforeseen danger to us and our families, present and future, due to the street interfering with the use of the family buildings and structures that are on both sides of the proposed street. The property currently has a continuance of ground where there has not been any disruption of grass or trees. There is already a north-south tree line dividing our property from the proposed housing development. And this uninterrupted piece of ground is where we desire to construct our new home. In accordance with this request, there are 2 South Dakota codified laws that I will read, and sorry to bore you, Tom. First is 94510, vacation after non-user of platted street or alley, petition of property owners. In any first or second class municipality, whenever any street or alley or any part of thereof as designated upon any recorded plat of the same shall not have been used or traveled as a street or alley at any time during the period of 20 years subsequent to the recording of the plat, the same may be vacated by the governing body upon application of the owner or owners of all the real property abutting upon both sides thereof. The application for such vacation shall be made upon the petition of the abutting owner or owners and shall be verified by the affidavit of such owner or owners or his or their agent, attorney. And the other one that I was looking at was 4316.3. Land bounded by a road or street. Scope of ownership. An owner of land bounded by a road or street is presumed to own to the center of the way, but the contrary may be shown. So block 15 comes from the north, right to the center. Block 11 comes from the south to the center. And so we meet, and we've been paying taxes on that property, and so is my family, for a very, very, very long time. Now you get bored with all that, but I have asked my daughter Alyssa to convey a more visual perspective of the request that we have.
Can I do like this picture on the screen? Is that okay? I'm a millennial and I'm more visual, but also I come with a different perspective with creativity. So anyway, way over here.
Do you want me to pass it around?
I will. That's my hair. Oh, yeah, it's on this side. Yeah.
I apologize. I'm just getting over the virus too.
There you go. Sorry. My bad. I should have done that before, like you said.
Get on the phone.
No.
He's on a meeting. He can text me if he, when he gets out.
Not loading.
Well, no, it's not loading. Well, good thing I printed these out. It's not loading anyway. Okay, so I attended 2 weeks ago with my mom, and I really only had like little details of it and supported it because I really I knew what they wanted, and I thought it would be like an easy request to approve, considering I've read all of your agendas the last 4 or 5 years and just like that. So I was like, okay, well, we have to approach this a different way, kind of. Like I said, I'm very visual. I know this is probably redundant because you guys have all this stuff, but the more important part of it is the last few pages that I wrote notes on.
Thank you.
Yes. Oh, I need that.
I think
Give
this
us
is
a-
yours.
Okay, I need that one.
Yeah, this is yours.
Huh?
But I remember.
Yeah. Okay,
Thank you.
so like I said, when I came the last 2 weeks or whatever, I just didn't truly understand, I guess, the extent of things. So I was like, okay, I listened, analyzed, and was like, we gotta do a more visual thing. And as I left, I said, I realized that it's all men who want statistical approach. So anyway, so obviously page 1 is what you provided Banner with. That is your zoning map kind of estimate. That's what you gave Banner. And I know you have these already, but the second page is the draft that Banner provided you with March of 2022. And this is exactly what they gave you, all of the measurements, the width of the streets and the lots and whatnot. And I actually have to ask a question first to any of you. Have you had any other edited I just have to ask because then, if you had any other, edited drafts of anything?
No, they just, all they've done out there is done a survey of the area.
Okay, so they're
Did
surveying
elevation.
electricity and water lines and stuff like
Locating
that.
all the utilities and getting elevations of the
Right.
existing field and
And
stuff, so.
I looked at that stuff too.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, so the third page this is just a more simplified, prettier version that I made of the Banner draft with all of the exact widths of the streets and the lots and everything, and I just took the zoning map of Beresford and made this. I did not edit it, this is exactly what Banner gives you. So now, sorry, page 4. So this one I just added in the yellow circles, they highlight the different widths of the streets that are currently in this town and off of 46 and off of major highways. They range from 60 to 80 to 100. And so those streets all are the ones leading to the new housing development. And then those red markings, I'm not lying, the red markings are part of Banner's plan. There's 51 feet. Those streets are 51 feet in width, going north and south, and then the other ones are 60. And so prior to this, the last time I was here, I think it was you, Eli, or someone had mentioned we have to make, the reason we're trying to make this street go through is because you have to have emergency responders and buses and whatnot, because you're going to have young kids there. So to me, this 51 feet, is that a one-way, or are you going to have street parking on those streets? Are you going to park on the streets or what? I know this is just a draft, I get that, but I'm trying to, this will all lead into my point of the Grant Street vacay. So, those are just kind of different parts of it, and I guess whatever, the purple is the streets that they planned for. The last one is obviously the last page, sorry. The orange section is my suggestion to basically extend Second Street all the way down because that runs from north to south down to Highway 46. And that orange section, the little low occupancy box, that is the property that we're trying to vacate. And so that pink property on the east side, I mean, you can either, I mean, the way the measurements are, all of these lots are, like, they're all planned out different sizes, different lengths, streets are different and whatnot. And so, to me, all we're doing is, like, the point of this is an access point. This is not a portion that would be developed for housing by Banner. And there's not even in their draft or plan. That is an access point. It's not, like, they did not plan, you guys planned to put an access point right there, like a street. But if you think about it, going west on Grant Street, that's a gravel road that you'd also have to develop if you're thinking of making that a local street, paved. So we were just suggesting that you go just south on 2nd Street down to like 46. And I mean, there's so many different things. Lot 14 is already developed in soil farm ground, and that you're not gonna get that. And then the north 2 sections of lot 15 is what my parents own, and that is also farm ground. So you're just only cutting into like a lot area that's already, it's never been developed and it's already been maintained. It's paid property, like that's just, it's just an access point. That's my point of it. Visually, this just made more sense to me. So, and I know that Banner's gonna draft, you know, they're gonna make other drafts and stuff. Like I have a couple friends that are really successful engineers and stuff. So like I know what they do. But my thing is requesting, you know, approving this vacay is you giving them and just making sure that they don't go in that area. And like, then they have other things to work with, different streets. And so I know this was just a draft from them, I get that. But they just vacating that area, which I totally understand your guys' plan, but vacating that area, it's just, I mean, it's just an access point. That's all, I guess. I don't even know, and getting it straight from Highway 46 up, like, versus going up to Grant Street where you just want to take, you know, go east just for 4 lots. That just doesn't, I mean.
They'll do whatever you want with the information that you give them.
Will do what you give them, and obviously
it's not them telling you, you know, what to do and stuff. It's with the information that you're giving them.
It's contingent on like the zoning maps and obviously the surveying, like you said, Banner is doing. And then also I put in a question like, what is your budget for South Dakota housing? Like, what is that? Like, are you gonna be able to, like, honestly develop like the rest of Branch Street and go west or what? I mean, like, let alone my mom already made the point that right where on the east side of like, so on the east side of lot 15 and 11, where those lots are, there is a tree line, like a totally developed tree line that is on my parent, like is on lot 15's property. Like it's a huge tree line, and like the north 2 sections of 15 is all farm ground. So you're literally only cutting down like a tree line just to go east on Grant Street. So I was just making a more visual perspective of it, because obviously I know the layout of, you know, the physical situation and geographical stuff of it, but then like I just would rather consider this and like kind of reconvene and vacate if you could. I just don't know what your timeline is, if you're gonna approve it or not, or when you would. Because we've been going at it forever, but I didn't understand it honestly until I was like, okay, farmland, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I knew it was there, but then I was looking at it and then I looked at the plot stuff and I'm like, it's really not, it's just an access point. It's not like you're gonna take away any.
Let them look it over and see what they say.
I'm just saying.
I don't know, let them look it over and.
There's like 12 pages, that's why.
We'll definitely get this to Banner to have to take a look at.
You're gonna get to Banner?
Sure.
You should be like assistant mayor or something.
Just there, you're right off the bat. That's pretty good.
Well, I just don't get any facial responses. I'm like, okay, well. No, I'm pretty savvy with that. So, anyway, but.
This is excellent work.
Yeah, so there. Look at all.
I just like whipped it up the last couple days and I was like, so anyway.
I would just guess 2nd Street would be a perfect place to come right up
that street to go in there instead of having 2 blocks right next to each other going into that development. Going south and going into that, you know.
Just after like kind of like reviewing the agendas like the last few years, that's what I had to do to really look at this. I'm just curious like what your timeline is to give us an answer, because I think, you know, collectively you claim that this is going to be a 15-year in the future process, you know, goal, but like this is going to happen in 2 to 3 years. So like, I mean, you wouldn't be working this hard if you to get surveying if it wasn't going to happen in the next couple of years.
And it's saying that I want to was proposing that it be completed by 2025.
Something like that, or like it was just like,
That was in the notes.
like it was like prerequisites.
Yeah.
So that's a big difference from 15 years.
That's prerequisites.
And if I want to have a new home, I don't want to be.
Oh, okay, that's.
Yeah, the grant was approved for the development, the last meeting or the previous meeting? We just learned about the grant approval for the planning.
Yeah, a month ago, or something a month, yeah.
So 1 month ago, we received a significant influx of cash to do some of the planning, developmental planning. I think, and knowing what the options would be for access points, whether they be for EMS, whether they be for, just imagine the ball fields now that they're it's a little bit different down there than it was. I think we take your work, I think we look at the plan or whatever banner comes back with, and then we try to come to middle ground in a reasonable time frame, right? Because you don't want to wait 10, 15 years. So,
I don't want to come back here again either. I mean,
We've been here enough.
this is like,
even the assistant mayor can come back, so. I don't know, do we know what timeline looks like, or?
They just started on it first part of February as far as starting to look at the information that they got off their survey and stuff, so.
Yeah.
We just sent them the agreement here back, I think we approved the last meeting. The grant agreements are the engineering agreements, so.
question, what is their like altered kind of, you know, perspective or, you know, stance on whether it's the natural resource part or like the, I mean, that's different when you're surveying that stuff, right?
Not following.
So the map, okay, like the green, God, I hate
The
the-
NRC is because it's farm ground.
we don't talk about like
Yeah,
the farm ground stuff, so like surveying that is obviously like, I mean, cause there's running, I mean, you're gonna have to
You're
drill like running water and electricity to that part anyway. So I'm just asking that part.
Yeah, it's zoned for single and multi-family housing, so we could put twin homes on there, or single family probably.
No, I'm asking the surveying part for like electricity and water and gas and all that, like going through, because you're building on already farm ground.
Right.
There's none of that there, obviously.
No, there's nothing.
That's part of
That's
what
what I'm
they'll, that's part of what they'll
That's what I'm
design.
saying, but like, what's the, because part of that down, well, isn't this already? Oh, yes, okay.
Because they'll have to look at the elevations, because they'll want the sewer to flow by gravity versus a pump station or lift
Yeah.
station.
You already say there is sewer going up there somewhere to the chicken plant?
Yeah. It runs right down that whole road there, Bob. When that turkey hatchery went in, we put it all the way down there, so.
It's,
There's a 12-inch main that runs down through there. So that makes sense for them to hook into that.
And where does that run then?
Is it right along Old 77?
It doesn't run all the way to 77. It goes probably about 300 feet from there. Like wherever it turns and goes north towards the backside of the turkey hatchery. We put that there in case we had some development of other lots on that side where we could, you know, before the ball fields were in and all that kind of thing. We're done. I think they'll even,
Turn it goes north, just on the east side of the substation.
yeah, just on the east side of the substation, it goes north there, so we thought that way we could access all of those if we ever had to develop some lots back up in there for some industry or some type of business up in there.
So are you paving the road north of Grand Street then?
It's not in this plan, no. It's north of Grant Street.
Yeah, like, or I mean, Third Street, north of Third Street. Are you paving that to the wall lines?
That's not in this plan, no. There's no funding for that. All we get is funding for this particular housing development, so. It might be done down the road. Not saying that it won't be done, but it may be someday.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of unknowns out there, we don't know.
Well, yeah, I
This project's $3 million, so when you start trying to pave roads, it takes a lot of dollars to do that, so we just do what we can.
Yeah.
Hoping it's 3. It's not 4.
Well, if you just consider that Second Street to go north of the development to be in the 11-1. It seemed like a better way to get into it.
I don't know if they have the right of way there, Bob.
There's not a right way here yet either.
Well, I mean,
Obviously.
they would have to condemn possibly land to get north, I think.
What are you gonna do with my land?
What's that?
What are you gonna do with my land then?
Well, that's already a right of way, that's the, well, it has been.
Well, obviously,
That's
you,
what's planned.
you took snow from 3 different roads to put it in so I can't even get in my garage. What kind of deal was that? Who told your street department to do that?
I fell going to the building.
They didn't get in my garage. They took
put it on
snow
our
from
property.
Stuart Carlson's, his whole lot, and down that rugged street to the east, west, that's Grant Street, and pushed it all in my driveway. I couldn't get in my garage.
Not just the driveway, they put it up against the property.
So that's kind of putting the cart in front of the horse, just saying like you own it already. That's what kicked me off. I mean, how can they do that? Take it off another person's property and push it with that loader down to the street and then push it in my driveway. And it's all over the lawn too now.
Going into the street.
That's not your property for sure.
And I had to climb around that, and that was when I had my.
I have no idea about it.
Well, somebody, your street department, man,
They did.
I'll tell you, I worked for the city in Dan Andrea, and Jimmy Dunn would never
I
do
think they're
anything
just
like
trying
that.
to piss us off.
I don't know, who's the street department supervisor?
So
Yep,
this is.
yep, I have it right.
No,
Street should
who's
be
the,
there.
well, you've got a councilman, it's not over the street department, who is it?
So there's 3, there's a
They have
committee,
committees down.
Huh?
we have committees.
Yeah.
This is what it
Well,
is.
see, when I worked for the city, they had a councilman that was over each department.
They changed that, now they got a committee, this free council.
Oh.
So they
Well,
took.
who's giving him the right to do
Mr.
that? I mean,
Carlson's.
put it on
Took
private
out the-
property. I mean, I mean, it's just snow, but it's gravel from that road that goes west, it's nothing but dirt and very little gravel, it's all the asphalt off of that, where it's washed down Grant Street
It's
already.
like 30 feet.
It's
So I
all
was
that
trying
sitting
to
around my
crawl out
lawn.
To get to my building to get my shovels and
And
stuff.
then they were gonna haul it out of it, they blew it,
To get to the house.
they blew it into a pile, that'd be there forever.
If not every.
Yeah, go up and take a look at it.
It was down my house.
Yeah, I have no
Put that on
idea.
your agenda.
I don't
Go up and
know.
So
look
this
at
is
it.
in front of my house, no, this isn't in the street. This is the property, this is our property.
10 feet out the street. I help them out, I shovel my own stuff
Our,
there.
the street would be running there, they're totally on our property, they just pushed it totally on our
They put a
property.
pile up in front of your garage.
That's something.
Huh? Well, now I've got sand and gravel and rocks and everything on my property, and I gotta mow that. And it's off and pushing all that. Would've been so bad if they just went straight, because that's the first thing that they asked you. They said, do we continue on as we've been doing? And you said yes. And so they went to the edge of the garage is all. That's where they pushed the snow straight ahead. But instead, they angled off and pushed it all off into our property.
Well, they'll look into that, but I just had to,
Well,
I
actually,
just can't believe they already did that, you know, to put the cutting for the horse. They would've never done that if Brown would.
I got a shovel in my walkway,
I mean, you gotta put snow somewhere. Where'd they put that snow from before? From Stuart Carlson's lawn, his whole lawn, everything went there over on my property. Somebody's gotta overlook that operation. Then what is?
who's this
I'll
supervisor?
ask a question. I'll talk to Jeff and ask.
Yeah, who gave him the right to do
I
it?
mean,
I don't understand. He's,
Took them 8 days to go down there and they took a snow blower and they went down there and then they blew it off. To get it off of there. But it took them 8
get it off,
days
it's
to do
around
it.
the tree, they blew it.
Yeah,
right
around
in
the tree. They
Right in the
blew it
middle of
over.
our driveway. Now,
I understand. I mean, I didn't see it, so this is the first, probably anybody here.
See, this is what it should look like. With all the snow,
Well,
And here goes
their.
their- their tracks. See where the line is here, the line went there and they went right over into the tracks of the grass. And put all that. Just to give you an idea. But I think somebody
No, it was, I doubt it was intentional. Give us a chance to make that right.
Oh, I
I
wouldn't
wouldn't
say that.
I thought it was, I think they were, well, they were working,
Because they put
Why did they
their-
put a pile of that? Where'd they put it before? Why didn't they put it there again?
not
We've
sure.
got a lot more
Yeah.
snow than we just had.
Yeah, we'll have to check.
How many people do you remove from one person's yard into the next person's yard? That's what happened.
Well, give us a
I've
chance.
never seen anything like it.
Yeah, give
He
us a
goes to
chance to make
somebody
that
else's
right.
yard, he
and
brings it into
I
ours.
think what, I said, it was intentional, obviously, because it ended up there, but I don't know if it was malicious.
Yeah.
So let ask some questions.
They could have put
I agree with
all the way up
because it is
north
like-
or
Further north.
anywhere. I mean,
Can we follow up?
Sure, that'd be great.
And then we've got the
I
plans.
appreciate that.
And we're gonna connect with
Because
that.
then I don't know
Create
what
a
else.
Timeline.
let's look at it. Okay, you guys got department heads to talk to.
All on the
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
how's your arm, shoulder?
Good.
Better?
Good.
You able to beat Preston yet?
Do I?
You able to beat your son?
Oh, yeah.
Tom.
Bowling, no bowling?
No bowling.
No bowling.
Bye guys, thank you for everything, thank you.
I think that's one of the reasons why it is what it is.
Yeah.
Bowling, maybe a few square meals.
See you about.
You bet. Have a good night.
Hey, Brian.
Yeah.
Good, how you doing?
I am not as organized as that one. We got all this other stuff going on too. Alright. Starters, I'd like to thank everyone for allowing me to come in and talk. Jerry, Tom, Mr. Tiedemann, Mr. Schott, Mr. Henderson, Mr. Opie, and Mr. Seeley. Thank you for your time. I also want to thank you, make sure before I leave here today, thank you for your efforts on the north fields that you've been putting in and the lights on our field. It doesn't go unappreciated. We do appreciate the time that you guys have put forward on those projects. I'm coming here as myself, as a citizen of Beresford. I've lived here for 11 years. I'm not coming here as a PRCE board member, a BBSA board member, or the head PDH coach. I'm coming here as Shane. I want to make that very clear. I have put a lot of time in the community for baseball in this town. I have seen many people come and go, many people forced out, based on, things are sometimes out of our hands, but these are volunteers putting in a lot of hours for what they do. My kids are involved in sports in this town. My wife also has a business in this town, so we're invested in what the future can be, and I've assumed this room is also invested in what the future of baseball and softball will be with those in the fields. I've coached for 14 years, everywhere from high school to T-ball. Now I'm currently in the head coaching position for high school. And some of the history that I wanted to come in here and make sure everyone is aware of the history of baseball and softball in this town. Current members, former, whoever's in the room. When I came to this town, Brett Palmer was running PRCE. He was in a paid position. I think it was grant related. I don't know all the details on that stuff. He did the best he could. Was he the most organized person? No. If you needed something from Brent, I was there to do it. One of the problems we used to run into though was if you walked up to Brent and said, hey, I want my son to play, he's 8 years old and I want him to play 10U, Brent's answer was, yeah, you do whatever you want to do. There wasn't no organization to it. If we didn't know whether that kid was ready for 10U or not. We weren't involving coaches, we weren't involving, there wasn't a board at that time for BBSA or PRCE. And that's kind of how things just stayed as they were for about 5 years, and then Scott Clunset stepped in when Palmer left. I believe his position was cut in half. We all know Scott. Scott put in, did he have his faults? Yes. Do we all have our faults? Are we all not perfect? Yes. But Scott put devoted hours in. I mean, my last time I spent with Scott was the state tournament that we just hosted. And I bet you that man didn't sleep at 3 or 4 hours each night for the time he put in. And he decided to resign this last year based on whatever factors he chose. I don't know the details on why. And now we have another person that's taken over his duties until that position is filled, and that is Adam Roshine, who donates countless hours. That person has come in And he has made it to where the accounting is tracked. We know where money's coming in, money's going out. It's in, it's detailed. The equipment is tracked. We know what bats we have. We know what coaches are getting. And more and more. And on this beat, and then that leads us to, between Scott and Adam, PRC formed. And I would guess, if I had to take a wild guess and do some research, that PRC was formed because this board here was probably getting complaints about stuff that they were sick of getting complaints about. And they wanted a separate board formed, so the city chose to put 2 members from the city council.
That's probably.
But I'd like to talk, Tom, if that's okay, not be interrupted. Thank you. There are 2 board members from this council.
I just think he was unclear. PRC predates all of it, right? PRCE was started,
There was no board.
the PRCE started 20-something years ago.
Yeah, and then they did a 501c3, they didn't form, I don't know length of time, but it's.
PRC predates everything.
Okay, so I'm sorry for that then, Tom.
Yeah,
I thought you were going another
No, I think it's
direction.
just
Okay.
PRCE's been around a lot longer than Brent. I mean, they existed
Okay.
before that.
So was there a board in place before that?
Yeah, I'd have to look and see when they were actually formally incorporated, but yeah, there's been a board.
Okay.
I think baseball, softball came under PRCE because
Nobody else found it.
Yeah.
We didn't have full-time recreation director through the city.
Yeah.
That was where the money was going to
I think
take care of
it's,
all
I
of this
think,
stuff.
I think that came under PRC a couple years ago because baseball, softball didn't have the nonprofit designation.
Yes.
So they came under PRCE so that they could utilize their nonprofit status for funding and accounting and so on and so forth.
Thanks for the clarification. And I know that there's 2 city council members on PRCE. There's 2 school board members that are typically on PRCE. And then there's a few other members at large, whether it's a coach or someone, accountants, whatever related. I know there's been other individuals that have moved on that were on that board as well. I don't know if that board just became more formal than 5 years ago. I do know that the people that were put on that board had just been put on that board 5 years ago. And I don't think anybody can correct that because I know for a fact that when that board was formed, because
So 6 years,
Yep.
there was people on PRC before that in the council, right?
We've got a council, I think, since
you
they-
probably had a park rec and community education committee from this council, I believe.
PRC was set up in 2008 as a separate entity.
Yes, underneath the city's municipal.
Well,
board.
no, they're their own legal corporation. They're a nonprofit, 501c3.
And what I'm getting at is, apparently what we've been finding out is the council doesn't oversee that board, and the school doesn't oversee that board.
Correct.
So that board, this will lead me to the next thing, created a separate committee to deal with baseball and softball issues that were coming in and flooding their time. No organization, there was nothing put in writing, there were no bylaws, there was no policy manual, there was nothing. It was a free-for-will, whoever came in and coached, that's how it was. And granted, I'm sure the town did just fine for years. However, times have changed. Parents are more involved now than they ever were when we were kids. And, if I wouldn't have made a team or made a cut, I would have went home, my parents would have said, well, go work harder. That's just how it was. It's changed, and I get it's changed and adapted to that point. What I'd like to get to, though, is since the inception of BDSA, it has been under the constant attack of a council member that's in this room. Constant attack. At public meetings and private meetings. The accusations that were published in this article, has everybody read the article that was in the Argus Leader? Attacking 2 volunteer coaches. Yes or no? No? Have you read it? I'd like to read it, some of it then. I am going to leave out some of the points for some of the other issues that are at hand because I don't feel like those should be brought out in public.
What's this to do with the city council, I guess, Shane?
You have a city councilman that's overstepping his boundaries.
I've never said a word at those meetings, Shane.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure
I'd like
Is
to,
he coming in his capacity as a city council person or a citizen?
who?
If the complaint is something that someone, as a council person, is doing,
Yes.
as a representative of the city?
I'm not putting forward a complaint. I'm bringing you the facts. I just saw that 2 of your members haven't even read this article.
I haven't read it. What
Thank
date is
you.
the paper?
Okay, so the Argus Leader.
What date is the paper?
I just don't know what the point is.
The point is statute 91437. It is a class 2 misdemeanor for any member of the governing body or other municipal officer to commit a palpable omission of duty or to intentionally commit oppression, misconduct, or malfeasance in the discharge of the duties of his office. He has been orchestrating stuff behind the scenes, planned. I showed up to that January 4th meeting, not as a board member. I was there. I was supposed to be there to talk about softball gym space. We show up and there's 20 cars outside, and I bet you through discovery, I could find out that this was planned. He knows the process. He understands the government. He knows how things work. Should have went through the BDSA committee or coach. Number one, most of the issues that were brought at that meeting were about a private team, not anything to do with rec. But this gentleman right here has a long-standing feud with his neighbor that is now interfering with how the city works. And how does it affect your city? I don't know if you're going to have volunteer coaches for this $3 million complex that you're putting north of Beresford. That's how bad it is, and I don't know if anybody in this room realizes that. I know I've talked personally with Nathan. I've talked personally with Eli. But I also know nobody else in this room has talked on the council has talked personally with those volunteers that were attacked. And they weren't even the coach of the kid bringing the allegations for something that happened on a private team. Is that okay? Who's coached on this council before as a volunteer? I mean, seriously, a show of hands. Who's coached? I know you've coached. Have you ever coached? Okay, have you ever coached?
This is, to be clear, this is for you to comment about something that you want to talk about.
Yeah, I'm just asking if you coach. I'm not asking if it's a yes or no.
The council is not obligated to engage with the discussion and back and forth.
Well, you are, right? You have been since I started talking. I've been getting interrupted, right? We didn't interrupt them
I think there's plenty of interruptions and back and forth.
at the end.
So, I mean, if you have a
Okay,
point that you want to make.
I am. I'm coming to
This is
that.
the venue for it.
What I'm getting at is this council member knows in his position what the process is if you have a complaint or issue. We have addressed his complaint multiple times. Okay, we have addressed the grade level issue. I'm sorry, we're not bringing kids up. We want teams to stay equal. There are 2 exceptions that we have laid out. We've told you. And you know what's sad about all this is the kids being affected, the kids not playing because parents are mad. And what I'm getting at is the attacks on volunteer citizens in this town coming from a council member in this room. Is that okay? Would it be okay for you to show up and start screaming at people? I don't think it'd be okay for any of you to start showing up and screaming at people. There was no notice. He knows how the process, Tom. That's what I'm getting at. There is something here that needs to be dug into. Whether it turns into anything, I don't care. I'm not trying to send someone to prison. What I'm trying to do is get it to stop. We're trying to run, this town is trying to run a baseball, softball program. We have enough issues with baseball and softball without bringing in issues that have been discussed multiple times. Just because we have a feud. What I'm getting at, and the main point is, I guess I'll just kind of skip to the end with the looks I'm getting. I think you guys have a defining moment right now on where baseball stays in the future, or rec or private. I think a public apology needs to be made from this council member. I think you need to stay in your lane. and let these boards that have the support of 98% of families in this town to do what they do to make sure that these kids all have an equal shot of playing time and to develop for the next level. I've seen these two volunteer coaches in tears, almost. Is that what we want? We want our volunteers quitting and no one showing up? Because you're not going to have volunteers for your baseball and softball if it continues. You're going to have an implosion. And it's not for me. For once, I am not the jerk that's going to cause the issue. So, I don't know what you take of this from now. I do think that it'd be nice to look into it, figure out if there is some overstepping going on, if there is some misconduct and malfeasance going on. Because it was planned. I can show you that. You just let me know when you want it. I know it was planned. And it was planned and discussed in this very room before that meeting. So that's where it relates, Tom. I will finish with that.
Okay.
Any questions for me? I do have that article if you'd like to read it, sir. I believe copies could be made for everybody if that'd be possible. If they haven't read it yet, I really think they should. Because we haven't retracted anything on these false statements. Anything. We have 2 coaches being attacked that didn't even coach one of the individuals that's one of the main concerns.
5 copies.
Thank you. I don't need that. And that was January
Can we keep
4th.
that?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I kind of crossed off the areas that you might want to make sure stay private. I know that's a separate matter, but, and the really sad part about a lot of this is all these people were friends at one point. You and us, I thought, for sure, but it just keeps coming and I'm like, what's this guy got wrong with me? Baseball's my baby here. So, I want to thank you for your time. I should probably stop, that way I don't go any farther. I would appreciate it being looked into, and I'd like to hear what the council and city decides to do moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's get back at it. Thanks for your time.
We have no committee or mayor reports, department head, city administrator, nothing listed, Jerry. No old business. Under new business, we have resolution 2024-04 Bridges Golf Course fees. Mike, were you at the meeting?
Yes.
Discuss the golf course fees. Do you want to give a synopsis?
Yeah, we met with them. He outlined everything that, and gave justification for why he felt it was necessary to raise fees to keep the golf course at the same level of revenue generation essentially as surrounding courses. And I think we can all say that we have a quality course, and Larry and I give our full recommendation to accept these fee increases.
Need a motion? Shall I make a motion for the resolution of 2024-04 Bridges Golf Course fees?
Second. Motion by Schott and seconded to consider resolution 2024-04 Bridges Golf Course fees. And discussion on this. I have one question, Ben.
Yes.
Under annual pass, family is listed first, then it has the next line down, member and guest 175. What does that mean? Is that typo?
It's a member guest add-on. So the way that works is a member can add that onto their membership
For 175.
for 175 and bring a guest complimentary. So like I said, if they have a wife who only plays 4 times.
Father-in-law lives down the road.
Exactly.
I wasn't, just need clarification.
You can do that
We
with,
had 6 of those sold last year, so it's not
So family is one thing, and if I knew I was gonna bring somebody all the time, I could technically add a member guest, and I could bring one person.
Try and cap that one person at 10 times, so it doesn't get abused. It's like, a senior member gets the member guest add-on and, strictly plays with that person 50 times. That's not the intention for it. It's to bring new people in, and I just go over that verbally and try and keep it at that 10 max. As many as they want, but yeah, they want to bring their wife 10 times and so their father-in-law, neighbor, whatever they want to bring.
A business owner that may have a potential client.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks.
You do that with a single or family or?
Anything.
Yeah.
And essentially, these fee increases are roughly 3%, you said?
That's correct.
Yes. So 3% increase
For
on.
memberships, for
Yep.
the public, it's a little more, 10%.
Tracking that member guest add-on going to be overhead for your staff, or you have a way to do that through?
Through the criminal adult ad, but it's kind of the honor system too. I know who's coming and going.
Not a punch card per se, but
No, it's not going to be an abused thing that I haven't seen since it's been here, so it's worked out well. And then that person turns into being a full-time member anyway, so it's kind of what I've been seeing. They bring that person, show them what facilities all about the property, and then they end up, converting themselves. So that's kind of what that plan is for.
Good job.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Next item, part-time hire for Bridges Clubhouse, Lisa Courtier, minimum wage. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve this Courtier's part-time hire.
Shot second.
Motion by Sealy, seconded to approve the part-time hire, Lisa Courtier, 24 hour part-time. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Authorize advertising for a public hearing for retail on, off-sale malt beverage and South Dakota farm wine license for Bert's Sports Bar and Grill.
So what we are doing is just setting a public hearing for the next council meeting on February 20th to hear, I've received the application and the fee.
We need a motion or?
Just to clarify what that's for, Carlo was contacted by the video lottery people and said that our license, which we've had for 3.5 years, can't have video lottery with that anymore. So they're making us go out and get a malt beverage license, even though we can already serve the beer and everything in our place, but they want to charge another $300 in order for us to have video lottery. So
They're picking on you, Jerry.
no, we'll just do what they tell us.
So we don't vote on this, we just set
So
the date.
just set the hearing.
Okay. Subject drawn on request.
We do need to make a motion, I believe.
Oh, do we need to make a motion? Tom?
I thought you said this was just a public hearing.
We need to make a motion to set.
Just set the date.
hearing, yeah.
Oh,
I'll make a motion to set the date for public hearing for retail malt beverage South Dakota farm wine license for Sports Bar and Grill.
Second. The date was February 20th, right?
February 20th.
That's what I heard. Motion by Sealy and seconded to authorize advertising public hearing for retail on off-sale malt beverage South Dakota farm wine license for Bert's Sports Bar and Grill, February 20th, 2024. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Subject drawdown request in the amount of $3,500 to the
Community covered?
Oh, okay, maybe just on order. That's right. $3,000 from the Beresford Community Cover.
Should I make a motion? I need a motion. Yeah. Should I make a motion for subsidy drawdown request for $3,000 for Beresford Community Cup Board?
second.
Motion by Schott, seconded to approve the subsidy drawdown request in the amount of $3,000 for Beresford Community Cover. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed? Approved. Next subsidy drawdown request in the amount of $3,500 from the Beresford Chamber of Commerce. Motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve subsidy drawdown request $3,500 for Beresford Chamber of Commerce.
Second.
Motion by Sealy and seconded to approve subsidy drawdown request of $3,500 for the Beresford Community Chamber of Commerce. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Approve such drawdown request in the amount of $3,000 from the Beresford Senior Citizens.
Shall I make a motion for some city drawdown request for 2,000 for Beresford Senior Center?
Motion by Shop, seconded to approve the such drawdown request in the amount of $3,000 for Beresford Senior Citizens. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all fair say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Next city council meeting, February 20th. That's Tuesday, right?
It is.
Okay, Tuesday. We'll vote on that. And then we have 3 travel requests. Is there a motion to approve the 3 travel requests as listed in the agenda?
We need to approve all 3 or one at a time?
All of them.
Shall I make a motion to approve all 3 travel requests?
Motion by Schott, seconded to approve, excuse me, the 3 listed travel requests. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all fair say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Is there a motion to authorize payment of the bills?
Make a motion to pay the bills.
Second.
I know it's supposed to try, but.
Motion by Celia, seconded to authorize payment of the bills. All fair say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Kathy, can you have food with overstrikes? Then put Celia, you feel better.
In honor of.
And then we shall enter back into executive session 8:10. Who's first? Anyone, who first?
What's that? There you go.